Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to call our city council meeting for February the 12th, 2015 to order. All you men, please remember that we have Valentine's Day coming. We don't want any more tragedies occurring in the city, so y'all please take care of that, okay? I'll ask that you please rise for the invocation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. God, we thank you for this day, the blessings you have bestowed upon us. Give us wisdom, understanding, caring heart, and thoughtfulness. Help us always to strive to make this community in which we live a better place for all of us. In thy precious name we pray. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm going to ask Councilman Jameson, Mayor Pro Tem Jameson, which is still Council Jameson, to please take care of the introduction of employees and the other programs tonight.
Okay, Alan, would you like to read them out?
Well, sure I will. These are the new employees that have been hired since the last introduction of new employees. From Code and when we call your name, if you'd please come up, please. From Code Enforcement, we have Joshua T. Adams, City Code Inspector, Community Service. And from the Public Works Department, we have William B. Allen, Anthony T. Fobbs, and James W. Hull.
Gentlemen, we appreciate you serving our city. We want you to know that your position is a position of service. We all, city employees, are key service personnel and serve our city. There will be times when it seems difficult to do the job. That's why we hired you to respect and appreciate you serving our city. You see behind you the council. Council is the one who funded your position, and they are the ones who make sure that you get all the tools that you need to do your job efficiently. Welcome you to the city of North Charleston. We hope that you serve us well for a long time. And some decisions that you'll be taken care of, and we want to tell you thank you and welcome aboard. The next item is recognition of Causey Calder, and I understand that Ms. Doctor?
Here she comes.
Yes, okay. We'll let you take the microphone and present.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, Councilman, citizens of North Charleston, the Forest Hill Board Neighborhood Association would like to show appreciation for Chelsea for doing such an outstanding job for the last 2 years in Forest Hills. She's worked very diligently with us. I know sometimes we demanded a lot, but she did work with us, and we did appreciate everything you did for us. So we just want to give you a little small token of appreciation for your efforts that you did in Forest Hills. We want to present this certificate to you, and it says Forest Hills 1 Neighborhood Association Certificate of Appreciation is hereby granted to Chelsea Calder, Code Enforcement Officer, in recognition of your ongoing commitment and dedicated service in making our neighborhood a better place to live. Awarded February 12th, 19. Thank you so much.
Councilman Assel, would you like to say something?
Okay. This doctor said it all.
This doctor said it all. Thank you very much. We feel like our code enforcement people do a very good job throughout the city, but it's nice to see that some neighborhoods actually go one step above and show that recognition. Sometimes it's negligent on our part to show that which is positive, but most people are very, very willing to say that it's negative. So thank you, Ms. Doctor. I appreciate that. For the introduction of our Miss North Charleston and Miss North Charleston teen, I'm going to ask Amy if she'd come up and introduce them, please.
Thank you. Thank you. Mayor, Council, it is my privilege and pleasure to introduce to you tonight our Miss North Charleston 2015 and Miss North Charleston Teen 2015, Sterling Rentz and Carrie Tomberlin. Sterling Rentz is from Greenwood, South Carolina, and is currently a senior studying arts management and dance at the College of Charleston. She will be competing for the title of Miss South Carolina this June. Her involvement as a senior counsel with Rotary Club International's High School Leadership Camp, RILA, led her to the selection of her platform for the Miss South Carolina competition, Youth Leadership. When she is not attending school or preparing for Miss South Carolina, she teaches dance to middle school and high schoolers at Susan Causey's School of Dance and worked at the College of Charleston Career Center. She's graduating in May of 2015 and hopes to obtain a management merchandising position in fashion. Carrie is 17 and is the current Miss Teen North Charleston. Aside from her duties as Miss North Charleston Teen, Carrie is a published author and poet, as well as the founder of the nonprofit organization Mission Hope Low Country. She is a junior in high school, majoring in creative writing and literature at Berkeley Center for the Arts. Carrie is also a member of several academic organizations like Rho Kappa, Mu Alpha Theta, and National Honor Society, Beta Club, and others. And I would just like to say, if any of these ladies can be of any assistance in your district, coming out and meeting your constituents, please feel free to contact me, and I will work to get them out and involved with any city functions. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you so much for having us tonight. It's such an honor to represent such a wonderful city, and this has been a whirlwind for us both, but we feel like we've been welcomed with open arms, and we just want to say thank you so much. And just as Miss Amy said, if we can be any assistance to any of you, please let us know, because we would be happy to serve you in any way possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Amy, you have reached a new plateau. Miss Amy. Yeah, that's right.
It's nice to see that North Charleston is still producing not only smart, intelligent youth, but beautiful youth. And we feel like that they will be good representatives for the city of North Charleston, and we wish you the best in your endeavors to proceed on to greater heights. Okay. Okay, I think that takes care of these items. Ellen, if you'll continue on with the printed agenda.
Thank you. Item 1 is a request to approve the minutes from the January 22nd, 2015 City Council meeting.
Move approval. Motion and a second. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Astle?
Abstain, I wasn't present.
Ms. Jerome?
Aye.
Mr. Jamison?
Aye.
Mr. Brinson? Ms. Williams? Mr. Hart? Mr. King? Mr. Stigler?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mayor Semi?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 2 is the final reading of an ordinance authorizing the city to execute an amendment and extension agreement with the South Carolina Stingrays.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. As I was studying this contract this week, I had a question as to the fact of, I didn't think we had enough in the contract to overlook, I'm not going to say the word fraud, but I'm going to say misuse of the powers that we're giving them. I called Dirk, and Dirk explained that we had a clause in the contract that would help all the issues that I had in my conversation. And I'd like to ask Dirk if he would explain that to the rest of council, please.
Sure, I'd be happy to. Mr. Jameson, members of council, first, I've got every confidence that the Stingrays are going to have absolutely pristine books, but that having been said, to directly address the concern, I think there are probably two clauses in the contract. One of them, the most direct, is that the payment of any subsidy amount is based upon adequate documentation being presented to the finance director to his, quote, reasonable satisfaction. And so if we're given unreasonable amounts, even the contract specifies that we wouldn't fund it. Additionally, there is an appropriation clause each year which would give the council the ability, if something were improper or fraudulent, as you suggested, to simply decline to appropriate. But again, I've got every confidence that that's not going to be an issue. But to answer your question of whether we're safeguarded, the answer is yes. If it did come to pass, we would be.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir, Mr. President.
First of all, Mr. Mayor, thank you for personally addressing a couple of questions that I had about this. You know, I think it's too bad that we can't explain this a little bit more to the public. Once we say subsidy and once we mention the family's name, that's all that a lot of people want to hear. This is subsidy. This is classic subsidy. But stingrays have become sort of an institutional activity in our city. And I, for one, think this is a very measured response to try to help them sustain that activity going forward. My specific concern is, how do you define losses? We're putting a big burden on our director of finance. I had a nice chat with him last week. Accounting can be such a very interesting dynamic, and in many cases it can be subjective. Now, I absolutely don't think we ever have any problems with the credibility of the stingrays, but defining this going in is going to help us a lot down the road, because the public is going to be interested, again, when we start writing checks. And we will be writing checks, I'm pretty sure of that. If we're talking about full balance sheet losses, I don't really think that's what this council is interested in doing. If we're talking about cash operating losses, I think that is what we're interested in doing. What's the difference between cash and non-cash? Well, I don't think the average North Charleston taxpayer is interested in subsidizing the stingrays' depreciation of goodwill or brand market value. We're not owners. We are, in this case, a city that's subsidizing a minor league franchise. Warren really did a good job of talking that out with me, Mr. Mayor, and for that I'm very grateful. The other issue that I felt very strongly about, and Dirk did a great job of this, and so have the stingrays, and that is that whatever the documentation is that is presented to this city and that we use to write a check, it has to be clearly understood from the get-go that this is a public record, discoverable by the public under this state's Freedom of Information Act laws and regulations. Dirk, can you affirm that we talked about it and that this is a matter of public record?
Absolutely. I've had those conversations not only with you but also with council on behalf of the Stingrays, and they've confirmed they have exactly the same expectation, that they will be providing documentation if they come in asking for us to write checks based upon this agreement, and that they would expect that those documents will all become public when they produce them for payment.
And I should point out that, having heard that that question was being raised, I got a communication today wherein they stated, again, affirmatively, that they understood that this will be a matter of public record. You know, it is subsidy. Mr. Mayor, I think you've done a good job of presenting the concept of net cost. If we were to lose the Stingrays, we would lose a lot of revenue at the Coliseum. Now, would we make some of it up? Probably, but there is a netting of that. This is a measured response to try to sustain the Stingrays as that activity that so many of our citizens really do enjoy. And in fact, it is a greater Charleston asset, I think. So, I might point out one other thing. This is not unusual for municipalities all over the country in dealing with minor league franchises, but it's definitely not unusual if you're talking about my business, and that is the port business. Port authorities do this almost commonly. So, and I understand that we have someone from Stingrays. I think this is the first time we've had someone while we've been talking about this. Rob?
Con
President of the
Cannon
Stingrays
is
here.
with us.
Yeah.
And let me go into a little further detail. The Stingrays were very considerate in working with us, understanding our position. And even though what has been going on in previous years is not a part of the issue moving forward, they actually let Warren go and view their 2013 and 14 tax records and profit and loss records. And we're not going to expose that information, because until we're under contract, that's not our business, except to understand how they manage their books so that we have an understanding. I can tell you, ever since the Stingrays have been here, and it's 21 years, they have been an asset to this community. Unlike any other athletic program that we have, there's 39 nights a year minimal that the Coliseum is open because the Stingrays are there. And that's helping with the 40-something people that work the event for the Coliseum, but it's also helping for the vendors that bring the food and beverage in. They pay us rent for use of that facility, and we get 25 cents out of every dollar spent in the concession stand, and that's a good bit of, if you bought product at our Coliseum, they aren't cheap, and we get 25 cents of that as well. But if you remember, last year we redid the ice rink at not a small amount of money. The only other event that we bring in for ice is Disney on Ice. If they're in there or not, the heat is going in the wintertime, the electricity's going, we have so many lights we have to leave on. But it's entertainment for the general public. The other night, they had a $5 a night ticket for honoring the county police officer that got killed in the line of duty. I don't see the Stingrays as a business. I see the Stingrays as an opportunity that people have offered to this community for 21 years as a public service. The Stingrays have never made money. It's always been subsidized. Started out with 4 different owners and then got down to now the Zuckers are the only people that own the Stingrays. And if you look at other professional, semi-professional teams, or whatever you want to call them, minor league, if you look at the River Dogs, they use the baseball stadium basically built for them. They pay no rent. They get all the concessions, and the salaries are paid for by the New York Yankees. And so that is when you can make money, when you have that kind of arrangement and that kind of deal. We haven't had that kind of arrangement in our deal. I just think that the benefits of the Stingrays being in there, I don't want to ride by and see the lights out in that place 30 nights, which is a complete month that we would lose events in there. Yeah, we might make up 2 or 3 shows during that period of time, but the Coliseum is not as active as our Performing Arts Center. So the more work we can keep going on in the Coliseum, I think the better off it is. It helps us in paying our debt on our parking, because the people are paying $5 to park to come into the games. It's just, I think, a win situation. It's not unlike a lot of the things that we do in the city that are for the community good and having activities and things for the public to do in the city of North Charleston. When other teams come in and the people come to watch those games, they're staying in some of our hotels overnight. They're eating at our restaurants. We're getting 2 cents out of every dollar they spend in both of those places. Comes back to the city. So I just think it's a no-brainer for us that we need to support the Stingrays and continue to move forward. At the end of the 2 years, if for them or for us, it's not working out to either our satisfaction, then we walk away from it. But I think after 21 years, we owe them a 2-year opportunity as a committee of council for the community.
Mayor, I have one other question.
Yes, sir.
And it would be for Rob Concaner. Sunday, you're having a fans meeting at the Coliseum. Is that correct? On the 22nd?
On the 22nd, yes.
All right. My question to you is this. I don't go to sports events on Sundays, but I do go to work when necessary, so I would like to come to that meeting. And if I can just get in with my badge, would that be all right?
I'd be glad to leave you tickets.
Okay, because I'd like to come to see the discussions that's going on,
Absolutely.
but I wouldn't want to be staying for the games. That's the reason I wasn't going to buy a ticket, but I wanted to make sure I could get in with just this.
Yeah, absolutely. And what went into planning that meeting on the 22nd, there were a couple different factors. We do a town hall meeting every couple of years to see what our fans have to say about our product, concessions, on the ice product, everything in general. And due to the Zucker schedule, Anita and Jonathan and Jeffrey wanted to be there as the owners of the team. And this was the only time and date that fit into their schedule. Because I have received a couple emails from folks, a little concerned why we have it on Sunday. I've responded to those folks, but absolutely, we'd love to have you. Be glad to answer any questions that I can as well for anybody here. And I have a prepared speech. I didn't know if you guys wanted, if you know what I mean. But
We don't want that, bro.
okay, Mr. Sorry.
Yes, sir.
I'll be there.
Perfect. I think Bob already gave you guys a couple tickets, right?
Rob, this meeting on the 22nd,
Yes.
Sunday afternoon,
Yes.
after the game,
Before the game, 1:30.
Mr. Jameson's asking about a ticket.
Yeah.
Will this be open to the public?
In years past, we've only had it for the season ticket holders and people who come to the games. We'd be glad to open it up to the public if you'd like. We can restructure it and do that. But at the end of the day, it's been over the years specifically for season ticket holders.
Well, in about 10 minutes, there's going to be maybe in 2 minutes, there's going to be a very measurable public interest in
Yeah.
Stingrays.
Yeah.
You might want to think about that.
Sounds good. I will think about that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everybody.
Sir, I just want to say, I don't know exactly what's going on or what the problem is, because y'all have been here forever.
Yes.
Have always done a good job, and nobody mentions all the nice things y'all do for the residents and citizens of North Charleston, and also the schools, and also going down to MUSC and working around with the children all the time. Y'all
Thank you.
do so much to help so many different organizations in this city, and I applaud y'all.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. I appreciate it.
All right, everybody ready to vote? Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Estel?
Aye.
Jerome?
Aye.
Mr. Jameson?
Aye.
Mr. Brinson? Ms. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Hart?
Aye.
Mr. King? Mr. Stigler? Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mayor Summy?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you all very much. Next item.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
Item 3 is the first reading and a public hearing for an ordinance rezoning a portion of the property addressed as 2160 Iron Rod Court, a portion of Charleston County TMS 47511, Lot 12, from B2 General Business to M1 Light Industrial, and a concurrent amendment to the Comprehensive Plan's future land use map for the entire parcel, changing from conservation to light industrial.
Eileen?
Good evening. So this is the proposed rezoning of 2160 Iron Rod Court with the TMS as shown. It's a portion of the larger TMS because the part of the property is split zone B2 and M1, and the request is to bring the entire parcel to M1 zoning. The property owner is Blanchard Machinery, represented by Thomas Arthur. And the area of the property that's currently zone B2 is just under 1.5 acres, and the entire parcel is about 5 1/3 acre, annexed in 1978 and a part of Council District 6. This is a picture of the property as was posted for tonight's meeting, and an aerial of the property showing its location at the end of Iron Rod Court, sort of sandwiched between Rivers Avenue and I-26. And this is the zoning on the property, as I mentioned, the small section that is currently zoned B2, and the remaining section which is already zoned M1. And this is the future land use map for the property, and I apologize, in preparing for tonight's meeting I realized that there is an error in the title of this slide, and we will correct that for next week. The parcel currently has a future land use of conservation, and that the proposal with this rezoning is to change the future land use for the entire parcel to light industrial, which would match the M1 zoning currently there and the proposed M1 zoning for the remainder of the parcel. So this property, as I said, is over 5 acres, currently split zoned. The future land use we are proposing to change, and given the surrounding development, staff recommended approval, and the Planning Commission concurred.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions by council? This is an advertised public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this issue, please come forward, state your name and address for the record, and give us your remarks. Anyone wishing to speak on this issue? Hearing none, it's referred to our Public Safety Committee, which will meet next Thursday at 5 o'clock.
Item 4 is the first reading and a public hearing for an ordinance rezoning the properties addressed as 7238, 7240, 7262, 7266, 7270, 7272, and 7282 Mezquite Road, Charleston County TMS 47802, 00, 22, 23, and 25 through 28, from R2 multifamily residential to B1 limited business, and a concurrent amendment to the Comprehensive Plan's future land use map for the same parcels, changing from redevelopment priority to neighborhood commercial.
Ms. Addie?
So this rezoning is for 6 parcels on Mezquite Road with the tax map numbers as shown. They're currently zoned R2 and are proposed for rezoning to B1 limited business. The property owners are shown there. The applicant in this case is the City of North Charleston. Together, the properties total just over 3.5 acres. They're annexed in 1980 and are part of Council District Number 2. These are pictures of the certified letters that we sent out and the response cards that we received, just to show that with the city's applicant that we made all efforts to contact the property owners. And these are pictures of the properties as they were posted for tonight's meeting. And this is an aerial of the property showing the location along Mezquite Road to what would be on the left of the screen, I-26 to the right. And just off the screen to the north is Ashley Phosphate. And this is the zoning in the area. As you can see, just north of these properties are properties that are zoned B2, as are some of the parcels across the street, which are developed as hotels. And these 6 parcels are shown there and highlighted in blue. And this is the proposed map amendment that would accompany this rezoning. It would go from redevelopment priority to neighborhood commercial. So these parcels were, of course, the 6 parcels that were before council in December, with, at that time, a proposal to go to B2 zoning. They are a mix of vacant and residential parcels totaling over 3.5 acres. Given the parcel's location along I-26, nearby the Ashley Phosphate Interchange, staff recommends approval. The Planning Commission deadlocked and was unable to come to a recommendation other than to send the request to council with a split vote.
Okay. Any questions by council? This is an advertised public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this issue, please come forward, state your name and address for the record, and give us your remarks.
Mayor, members of council, my name is Eddie Mazik. I represent 7211 Mazik Road, 7209 Mazik Road, 7215 Mazik Road. And we're opposed to the rezoning. We know that's going to be rezoned. It's obvious that we're fighting a losing battle here, but what our recommendation is to go to ON, which is Neighborhood Office District, which eliminates the possibility of any kind of barbershops, beauty shops, anything of that nature being put there. It's all family land back in there, and we'd like to kind of keep it that way. It's historical land, basically. My family's been back there for over 100 years. And to put businesses in there and build it up is kind of scary. The other issue is that recently there was a survey done for the amount of traffic that runs this road. And there was a recommendation that speed cushions be put in. If we do rezone this property, or if you do decide to rezone this property to commercial, that we recommend that you at least put cushions in there to alleviate some of the traffic. It's very heavy with it, and I think that the amount of traffic was over 1,000 cars, almost 1,700 vehicles back and forth down that road in one day. So, like I said, it's opposed by a lot of the family members around there that live there, and I plan to be building my house there in the very near future, which is diagonal to the property in question. So, I hope that at least give consideration to the ON's rezoning. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor and Council.
Pull it down a little bit more, Shorty.
My name is Marcy Duad, and I live in the Midland Park community. I live at 7030 Kenneth Drive in the Midland Park subdivision. I have the traffic study report to pass out to all of you that was done by the North Charleston Police Department last year when we've been requesting the speed humps for Mazik because of the traffic problem. And I'm here tonight to just ask you to deny the B1 zoning because it'll bring more traffic, and consider the ON zoning. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else?
Hi, my name's Crystal Mazik, Mayor and Council. Thank you for giving me a moment to speak. I own the property at 7206 Mazik Road, and I know that the zoning is an error. No one likes change, but we just wanted to be sensitive to the neighbors and the residents that's lived there for many years, and if y'all would just consider that and a recommendation on the ON where it does restrict to what kind of businesses could be put on these parcels. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I got a question.
Surely.
The number 1,700 cars a day going down this road was put out there. Where are they going?
May I speak on that, Your Honor?
Well, I think what we'll do is we will get Deputy Chief Connor to give us that, where those numbers were taken.
Okay, I mean,
Yeah.
from what I understand, it's not like there's a mall or a business down there that these vehicles are going to. I was just curious as to where they were going.
Yes, ma'am.
Basically, it's a cut through from Stall. They go down Bassett to Mazik to catch the interstate.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Now I understand better.
Mr. Mayor, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Why did the city recommend the commercial as opposed to maybe the neighborhood? The city, this is a city application, is that correct?
Yes.
Why did the city do it? Why were the applicant?
That was the guidance we received from Public Safety Committee, was to come back with a recommendation on B1.
On B1?
Yes, sir.
If you remember, Bob, this came to us
Yeah.
originally as B2, and we changed it to B1 and sent it back to the planning committee.
Right, but my question is, Mayor, there's the people who own the property are trying to get it rezoned. Are they going to, would they like neighborhood? Would they accept neighborhood?
They said they were willing to accept a B1 instead of a B2. And that's why we sent it back with a B1.
Okay.
Mr. Hart?
Yes, I would like to ask a question. Is there a 90-degree turn on Mazik coming into, was it Facet?
Yes, sir.
A 90-degree?
Yes, sir, 90-degree turn.
All right.
Any other questions? Without objection, it's referred to the Public Safety Committee, which meets at 5 p.m. on Thursday of next week.
Item 5 is the first reading of an ordinance amending Chapters 11 and 13 of the Municipal Code of North Charleston.
Have a motion? Second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, the clerk please call the roll.
Mr. Astle?
Aye.
Ms. Jerome?
Aye.
Mr. Jameson?
Aye.
Mr. Brinson? Ms. Williams? Mr. Hart?
Item 5, the ordinance amendment.
Mr. King? Mr. Stigler?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mayor Sunny?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous.
Anything else to come before the council?
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
we've been talking about some contracts tonight. I would like for us to go in executive session and talk about the contract with South Carolina Public Railroads. We have a contract with them, and we need some additional information on that. It is a contractual matter.
I don't know of a contract you prepared on anything.
Don't we have an agreement with the South Carolina Public Railroads?
We've had an agreement with South Carolina Public Rails for
Yeah.
2 years.
If you want to discuss it tonight, I'll be glad to do that. But the problem is, Mr. Brinson in particular has been showing in the community a different route than what we approved in the agreement. And I want to know what is the problem there.
No, I think what you're talking about there is the truck routes. And that is a study that's still been
I
going
said
on.
railroad routes.
Railroad routes?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have, in part of their process, Mr. King, they have to show alternative routes. And their preferred route is Spruill Avenue. But they have to show alternatives if that doesn't work. There's a headbutt session going on between CSX and Norfolk Southern. And we are meeting in Columbia, first part of March. And we'll be working with Senator Leatherman to work to get CSX to allow South Carolina Public Rails to use the line down Spruill for both Class 1 rail.
Mayor, that has not come to the community. if they consider an alternate, nobody's ever discussed an alternate route in that particular area.
They're not considering an alternate, Bob. They have to show alternates to the federal government to get approval.
That's not what the EIS and the Corps of Engineers said, Mayor. They did not say that.
Well, you've heard a different conversation with them
No,
than
no,
I have.
I've been to every one of their
Well,
meetings.
he's got a little different cast of characters too. Bob, I haven't presented any routing to anybody. I don't even know what route what they're talking about or what anybody else is talking about. So, once again, you're factually incorrect.
I'm factually correct, and you know you've been showing some people around. Well, you might as well admit
I haven't
it.
shown anybody anything.
You might as well admit it, and you haven't discussed it with me at all. You discussed it with some other council people.
Well,
No, you
once
You
again,
might as well admit it. You might as well admit that.
you're in a fog.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, ladies, meeting's adjourned.
They having this thing anyway.